Okay. Again, the next order of business is the removal of Mr. Steve Nieder from the Planning and Zoning Commission. I basically had recommended or had removed Mr. Nieder based on a lack of communication and contact with him. When I took office here, one of the first things that I began looking at was the various boards and commissions that the city had set up. And as I did so, I noticed that there were a lot of vacancies on boards. There were also a large number of individuals whose terms had expired. And some of those expirations had been from mayors from 2 terms ago. So many of the people, in other words, had been left on these boards and continued to serve without reappointment. But we had a lot of vacancies, a lot of boards that were incomplete. And as I started looking at the boards and looking at this particular board, planning and zoning, the specific code and ordinance that the city has calls for this to be an 8-person board, 1 member from the basically an attorney, a city planner, an architect, and a landscape architect or someone with a great knowledge of construction industry, and then 3 citizens at large. And this particular board at the time that I took office had 5 citizens at large, 1 attorney, 1 city planner, and that was it. So based on the code, the city's code, I sent letters out, decided to send letters out to all members of all boards to determine who was still serving on the boards, who was still interested in serving on the boards. I also indicated that if the individuals were not interested in serving on the board anymore, to let me know, but that if I did not receive a response back from them, that I would assume they were resigning from their position. Mr. Nieder, who I've known for a number of years and who I served on the Board of Aldermen with, lives the next street over from me. When I didn't hear back from him, I called his residence twice on 2 separate days, left a message, please get in touch with me. I never did receive return phone calls. I then, because I didn't feel I could continue to wait for a response, I went ahead and sent another letter to Mr. Nieder indicating that I had filled the position on that board and that I no longer had a position available there, but I did have a position on the Board of Adjustment, and that I would like to offer that position to Mr. Nieder, and indicated in that I felt his talents and his attention to detail would be a great asset to that board. I still did not receive a response from Mr. Nieder until the following board meeting when he came to the meeting and inquired as to why he had received the letter. At that point in time, I did offer to him again the opportunity to serve on the Board of Adjustment, at which time he said, I'll have to think about it. So that was pretty much the end of it. I continued to fill the positions as the code and ordinance required. I appointed a second architect to the board. We had 1 architect, Mr. Don Copy, who served on the board, who resigned because he moved out of state. So his position was filled with an attorney, and the second attorney was appointed by this board to serve in that second capacity. Because we already had a city planner on the board, the only other required position other than citizens at large was for an attorney, and that is the individual who I have appointed tonight. He was appointed as a result of a resignation by the 4th citizen at large serving on that committee. So at this present time, that committee is now in compliance with the code. We have 3 citizens at large. We have an attorney, a city planner, and 2 architects. So that board is now complete. And Mr. Nieder, sir, I'd like to extend to you the opportunity to come up and speak on this matter.
Yes, I'm Ron, I'm counsel for Mr. Nieder.
Okay.
And I'd like to address the board if I may, Your Honor, I've got a copy of my statement here for more involvement in it, although I may be a few copies. As the Secretary said, provide some extra copies. We need them. If I may, Your Honor.
Sure.
As Your Honor just stated, the board that you have compiled may be in compliance with the city ordinance. However, the city ordinance is in contravention of state law, and the state law supersedes the city ordinance. And I'll just read from my statement here. The mayor's action to remove Steve Nieder from the City of Crestwood Planning and Zoning and Architectural Review Committee pursuant to purportedly in your October 20th letter to Mr. Nieder, pursuant to sections 26-381 and 2-52 of the Crestwood Code of Ordinances, contravenes Missouri state law and is void. Any ordinance adopted and enacted by a municipal corporation must be consistent and in harmony with and not in contravention of state law on the same subject. A municipal code shall confine and restrict its jurisdiction and the passage of its ordinances to and in conformity with the state law upon the same subject. In Missouri, because the municipality derives its governmental powers from the state and exercises generally only such governmental functions as are expressly or impliedly granted to it by the state, a municipal ordinance must be in harmony with the general laws of the state and is void if in conflict. A municipal ordinance is considered to contravene state law if the ordinance permits that which the state statute forbids and prohibits, and vice versa. In this instance, there's a Missouri statute, Chapter 89 of the Missouri Revised Statutes, zoning and planning all cities, towns, and villages, that is applicable to all cities and towns and villages in Missouri. Section 89.010. The statute further states in its pertinent part, planning commissions, membership, terms, vacancy, removal. The planning commission of any municipality shall consist of not more than 15 nor less than 7 members, including the mayor if the mayor chooses to be a member of the council selected by the council if the council chooses to have a member serve on the commission, and not more than 15 nor less than 5 citizens appointed by the mayor and approved by the council. All citizen members of the commission shall serve without compensation. The term of each citizen member shall be for 4 years, except that the term of the citizen members first appointed shall be for varying periods so that succeeding terms will be staggered. Any vacancy in membership shall be filled for the unexpired term by appointment as aforesaid. And the most important part, the council may remove any citizen member for cause stated in writing after public hearing. Therefore, Section 2.52E of the Crestwood Code is in conflict with the general law of the state on the same subject, and Section 2.52 of the Code is thus void. The state statute prohibits removal of a member of a planning commission by a city council without cause stated in writing after a public hearing. Moreover, the state statute places no recognized profession requirement on the citizen at large membership of the commission. In the mayor's October 20th, 2014 correspondence to Mr. Nieder, the mayor purported justification for removal of Mr. Nieder from the City of Crestwood Planning and Zoning Architectural Review Commission without cause. The mayor's purported reason is that your removal is mandated by the code because you are not employed in one of the required professions and because there are already 3 citizen at large members. Both sections 2.52E and 26-381 of Crestwood's code contravene the state statute on the subject and are therefore void. The city's criteria in section 26-381 of the code that 5 citizens 5 of the citizen members of the zoning commission be members of recognized professions prohibits that which the state statute permits, and therefore is void and unenforceable. The city's purported power to remove an appointed officer by the mayor at will without cause, with the consent of the majority of the members of the elected board of aldermen in section 2-52E of the code, permits that which the state prohibits, and therefore is also void and unenforceable. Basically, Your Honor, the code upon which you base your decision is in contravention of state law and is unenforceable. That's what I have to say on behalf of Mr. Nieder.
Okay. And in all fairness, if you don't mind, I'll defer any comments regarding your legal issue here to our city attorney. I will say that based on my oath of office to this city, states that I will enforce the ordinances of the city of Crestwood, and that's what I intended to do. There was no, as I told Mr. Nieder, this is not a personal issue. This is not personally about him. This is about the fact that Mr. Nieder had not responded, and therefore I took that as a signal that he no longer